Well. Look who came back for week 5 of the college football show, presented by the regular usual. It's your host, Jordan Nash. I came back after such a piss poor job at last week's podcast. I was yawning mid-podcast. I was losing my train of thought. I was getting sleepy. It was late at night. So none of that this week. We're fresh. It's awake. For those of you who are watching the YouTube video, which is regular usual on YouTube, if you don't know, it's still light out back out. You can still see like the sun is setting. It is daylight. I'm awake. I'm alive. We're all here listening together. You're here to listen to me talk college football. I'm here to give you that work, let you know what's real and what's not. Each and every week we start off with a recap of the week prior, and we're going to go ahead and dig into that. This week's sponsor who needs to cut the check is going to be by Zephyr Hills Sparkling Water. I know you're here in Florida along with me, and I will say this sparkling triple berry is phenomenal. If anyone has a connection at Zephyr Hills, please send them my way. I will do this for free spicy water via Zephyr Hills. Jesus, now I'm tongue-tied. Maybe I should start this over. No, we're too far gone. We're going to jump right in. Last week was, again, as shitty as the episode was, we turned out a pretty damn good one. Probably going the best I've done in the last, 3-4 years I've been doing the podcast now. I went 7-2. I don't think that's happened since maybe that first season when I started doing the college football show. Have I had a record that good? And I'm going to be honest, I surprised myself. The biggest surprise in this week, which kind of hurt me the most, was Georgia and Missouri. Georgia was 15-point favorites in the game. They ended up winning 43-29. For those of you who aren't good at math, that's only by 14 points they covered. So we were 2 points away from being able to actually 8-1, which would have been diggity dope. The only other loss we had was Texas at TCU, or TCU at Texas. I'm sorry. I took TCU in the 3 points because I really didn't believe that Texas was back. I thought the USC win was kind of a farce and an outlier, and they were going to take a step back. But hey, big game Tom showed up, and Texas is one of the, I think, 9 teams we have who's still undefeated against the spread. Oh, actually, no, that's definitely wrong. I know that's wrong. I'm actually going to pull that up, though, this episode and kind of give you some of the ones that we're going to be writing for the rest of the year when it comes to who we're placing our money on. I will say this, I can tell you, last week there was 19 undefeated teams against the spread, which means they've covered every week. This week it's whittled down to 9, so anyways, overall 7-2 last week. The newly dubbed Shoe Money section of the podcast, where I bet all types of things between money lines, teasers, parlays, between pro, NFL, it's all there. I had 1 point. It started off not too hot there, but got a hot streak going with that Wisconsin-Iowa game and went on a 7-1-1 run. Starting with college game, I did have that one for the tie was Utah State minus 32 or minus 10 against Air Force. They ended up covering exactly. So that bet was a push because the scores lined up exactly for those of you not in the know, and that's we got our money back on that one. So if you go to the website, theregularusers.com, just click under last week's show, you'll see I did highlight that one in blue versus the green, the red for the wins and losses. But I'm happy, guys. Started last week with $87 in the bankroll. We ended up this week $91.48. So those wins really helped propel us over the top, giving me an overall record of 23-17 this season, and that puts me at 57%. If I did the math correctly, it's 57.5, but we're going to lowball it because I don't want to get my hopes up and go 58 and fuck up. Anyways, before we get into this week's games, I'm going to go ahead and knock this out now just to, before I forget and it's too late into the podcast. We only have 9 teams undefeated against the spread. They are, in order, Syracuse, who is actually 3-0-1, which we're going to count Utah State in that category as well. Virginia, the Cavaliers, 4-0 against the spread. Washington State, 4-0 against the spread. Miami's own Florida International, 4-0 against the spread. They did a nice job covering the Miami game last week. Texas A&M, 4-0 against the spread. Even after getting gashed by Alabama, 4-0. Georgia Southern, this is one of those teams that's off the beaten path. I'm like, you know what, maybe I'm going to pay attention to their games a little bit more because no one seems to bet them because no one knows much about them unless you're a professional, a pro bookie. and or pro, I guess sports bettor, gambler. I'm not sure what the official title is, but that's what you do for a living out in Vegas, and all you do is look at stats and look at numbers. But Georgia Southern, sneaky 3-0 against the spread. Appalachian State, 2-0 against the spread. I know, that one kind of threw me. I'm like, why are they only 2 games? But because they do play some teams from FCS schools or some D2 schools, if I'm not mistaken, there was never line set by Vegas, so that's the reason their spread, or their win percentage is only 2-0. And finally, of course, Utah State, 4-0 against spread. Otherwise, you go down, you've got some other heavy hitters, big name schools that we're going to touch on this weekend, like Stanford, Penn State, Florida. All these teams are 3-1 against the spread, and hey, it seems working out. So any of those teams I just mentioned, definitely keeping your eye on them when you come to placing your bets on Saturday. And where can you place those bets at again? Jeremy, I'm taking a sip. Hold on. If you didn't guess it, you can place those bets at Bovada.com. That's right. Head over to Bovada.com. There'll be a link in the show notes and the blog on the website's blog page where you can click on and they'll do a deposit bonus matching up to $250 to whatever. So you throw in $250, they'll throw in $250. But if you want to just dip your toe into this sports betting world, if you're basically set up, throw down 20, they'll give you an additional 20 for free. If you want to bet big, bang, bet it right on one. Put it on a game you know that's going to win. And I think I might have a little sneak peek there for you if you want to play along. Anywho, this week's podcast is mainly going to focus on everybody. We got a little bit of teams from the Big 12. In fact, we got one from each Power 5 conference. I can say that. So everyone's going to be well represented. Jesus, tongue-tied. Versus where I've had some weeks people say, hey, you should maybe focus more on the Big 12 or the Big 10 versus just SEC, ACC games. And I understand that, but hey, everyone's going to get their love, so shut the fuck up. Okay? Don't want to hear it. Let's get into it. This week, we're going to start on Friday night. We have UCLA heading over to the Colorado Buffaloes to take on, wow. You have the UCLA Bruins heading over to Boulder, Colorado to take on the Colorado Buffaloes. UCLA's coming to this game 0-3. Chip Kelly has yet to really inject his innovative offense into UCLA yet. Of course, it is year one. He doesn't have the players to run the system, or maybe defensive coordinators saying, hey, it's predictable if you know how to. It's a beatable offense. Versus Colorado on the flip side, who is 3-0. They're coming off a nice win over Nebraska in week 2, and last week they kind of ran rampant over the University of New Hampshire. UCLA's closest loss this season has come against the opener in Cincinnati, where they lost 26-17. Since then, it's been double-digit losses in the other 2 games. That's why Colorado is coming in as 9.5-point favorites in this one. I think some of that plays into home field advantage, and also I don't know if you've watched it, but the only game I've watched Colorado in was the Nebraska game, and it looked damn good. Nebraska wasn't bad on defense, just they couldn't get an offense going. Colorado, on the other hand, they can definitely light the scoreboard, averaging 41 points a game here. Defensively, kind of suspect as well, so I expect UCLA to score in this one here, but I don't think the Bruins have enough firepower on offense. If I'm not mistaken, their quarterback, or one of their main offensive weapons, was hurt this past week, so don't expect to see him in this week's game. 9.5 points for Colorado. That's asking a lot, but again, I think they can handle it. Colorado wins over Colorado State, Nebraska, and New Hampshire. And how bad UCLA is. I think we're going to go with Colorado in this one. So we'll go Colorado. If I can get them at -9, that's what I'll do. But right now, we're going to roll with Colorado to cover the 9-point spread. Next up, heading over to the Big 12, where you have one of our first ranked matchups of the day. We have number 12, West Virginia, heading over to Texas to take on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. I forgot where it was. It's in Lubbock. I was going to do a little, kind of wordplay it over. But you have number 12, West Virginia, heading over to take on Texas Tech. West Virginia is coming to this game as 3.5-point favorites. Both these teams West Virginia is 3-0 with Texas Tech 3-1. Their only loss was to open the year against Ole Miss. West Virginia, on the other hand, has beaten Tennessee, Youngstown State, and Kansas State. All handedly, by the way, by at least just shy of 30 points per team. Texas Tech, we know, can light up the scoreboard. We saw what they did against Ole Miss, we saw what they did against Houston 2 weeks ago, and they upset number 15 Oklahoma State last past weekend, 41-17. Over under this game is at 74.5. If you want anything, I will say this: bet the over. This game right here, I don't know how good West Virginia's defense is. I don't believe they're going to be able to. They haven't quite faced an offense as good as Texas Tech, so they're going to get their points. I could see this definitely being a 44-36 game in favor of the Mountaineers. I could see it going the other way for the Red Raiders as well. 3.5 points on the road is a lot to ask West Virginia, but this would be a good proving ground for them. If they win this one, it's them and Oklahoma as the best teams in the Big 12. Yes, Texas is still making some noise a little bit, but this would really be kind of almost a conference-defining game. If I do say so myself, this can really set the tone here. Texas Tech probably getting 4 points at home versus Will Greer's Heisman campaign in Morgantown. Ugh. Let's see, what would the everyday Joe do? First thing they'd say, like, oh, West Virginia's the higher ranked team, and they're going as the higher ranked team. Let's go with them, even though they're playing a ranked team. Me, an intellectual, sees, Texas Tech is at home. It's a noon kickoff, and they're going to start out, and they're going to get 4 points. I'll probably bet this one in game if West Virginia scores first. I might be able to get them at like +9. And just knowing the unpredictability that college football's been lately, I'm going to go with Texas Tech on this. I think Cliff Kingsbury gets a nice win here, and we're going to go Texas Tech +4 on this one. Next up, heading over with my alma mater, yes, that is UCF. You have unranked Pittsburgh coming in to face the number 13 UCF Knights, who are 3-0 and just lighting up the scoreboard, scoring 56, 38, and 56 points again in all 3 games this season. Probably would have been more against North Carolina, but that game, of course, got canceled. Speaking of North Carolina, Pittsburgh just lost to them last week, 38-35. Also taking a pretty good ass whooping earlier in the year to Penn State, 51-6. No other common opponents that would really other match up for either team, so it's kind of hard to do the apples to apples comparison. I will say this: UCF 3-0 or 2-1 against the spread, so we know they're good at covering. In this game here, I believe it wasn't listed on ESPN. This is where I run all the games here. Through OddsShark, UCF and Pittsburgh. UCF is 13.5 point favorites, so two touchdown favorites. This is a game UCF really needs to win to say, hey, we're beating Power 5 teams now, not just these little group of 5 schools like FAU. Even though FAU was a good team, they just didn't have enough to keep UCF's offense off the field. Jesus, that was a lot of F's. Fuck. Pittsburgh, on the other hand, really good defense, typically in the past with Pat Narduzzi as their head coach. The best team they've faced, of course, has been Penn State. I'm trying to think on this one here, because it honestly seems like UCF could this be another blowout game for them, but at the same time, they did lose to Pittsburgh or North Carolina last week. And North Carolina runs a very similar style offense. I'm not talking out loud and elaborate. I'm just like trying to think as I'm doing this, because I just pick these on the fly. I don't do any research beforehand. I just basically have the games lined out, write down a couple talking cues, and jump into it. So this is why it's weird. Again, going with like we did on the last game for Texas Tech. Most people think, oh, UCF, we hear about them all the time on ESPN. They look like they're a really good team. They've beaten good teams, or at least it seems like they're good teams. Pittsburgh, I don't know. They're going to get 2 touchdowns on the road against a group of 5 school. And this is actually going to be a primetime TV. We saw what North Carolina does. They run a very similar style offense. We beat Georgia Tech, who runs a finicky one with a triple option, but Penn State was just too much for us to handle. I think I want to take Pittsburgh in this one too. I mean, don't get me wrong, I will be pulling for UCF all the way. I hope they clobber Pittsburgh. However, it would look nice. It would quiet some of that national championship talk that JP Gilbert spurts all the time on Twitter about UCF being national champions. Talking to you, Chris Hilbert, as well. 14 points. I think I'm going to go with this. I like this game. I mean, UCF beat FAU. Oh, fuck. Now I'm looking at that. They beat FAU by 20 last week. And Pittsburgh's not great at covering the spread. They really haven't scored that many. But you know what? Fuck it. We're pulling UCF. We're jumping on the train. UCF wins this one big. Lee Corso. Now, back out to the Big 12 again. We have number 18, Texas, going over to unranked Kansas State. Texas is coming to this game as 9-point favorites against the pesky Bill Snyders. Kansas State last week got blown out by West Virginia, 35-6. Texas, on the other hand, has beaten 2 ranked teams in a row after starting off really slow and struggling in that Maryland game. I think part of that has to do with Tom Herman taking over the play calling duties a little bit more and starting to get that involved instead of just trying to be the general manager the way Nick Saban is. He's kind of taking the Urban Meyer approach as well. If you have someone who's better at calling plays with them, let him call them. But if you're the offensive-minded, brilliant person that Tom Herman's supposed to be, he should be calling the plays. I don't know if that's still in effect. The over on this game is 49. Yes, Texas has looked good offensively. Lately, their defense has looked even better. Kansas State, points per game, averaging 21 points a game here, so really not having a lot of fireworks. 9 at this one here. Texas coming on the road. This looks like a classic trap game, though, for Texas. Don't be surprised to get upset. We're taking the points at home, baby. Give me Kansas State. I forgot how to write S's. +9. I might be able to get this at 10 by the time game day kicks off, but we're going with Texas Tech or Kansas here. Upset alert. Maybe sprinkle that one in there too. Sip time. We have the goddamn Florida Gators heading into Starkville to take on Dan Mullen's former team, number 23, Mississippi State. Mississippi State's going to be 7.5-point favorites in this one. Might be able to get them at -7, depending. Florida's coming off of probably their best offensive performance in 3-4 years against a SEC opponent, where they beat Tennessee 47-21. Mississippi State, on the other hand, is coming off an upset loss to Kentucky, who also upset Florida. At least Florida is able to move the ball on. Florida's able to move the ball in Kentucky and get into the end zone twice, while Mississippi State barely got in. And Brad Snell, is it Bradley Snell? Is that his name? Shit. I'm pretty sure it's Brad Snell, Kentucky's running back. That's a man among boys there. He's just bigger, badder than anything they have going on. Then Mississippi State didn't want anything of him. And the schedule's only going to get worse for Mississippi State. Dan Mullen may have found his quarterback and can hopefully coach him up to keep on keeping on when Felipe Franks. I'll be honest, this one here, Florida getting 8 points on the road versus Mississippi State's letdown last week. Maybe Mississippi State was overhyped, just kind of came into the season. Who they played? They played Stephen F. Austin, Kansas State, Illinois, or Louisiana Lafayette, and Kentucky. They really haven't. Florida's kind of the first quality opponent they're going to be playing this year. Kentucky's now ranked. Florida, if they get this one, I wouldn't be surprised to see them creep back into the top 25 coming off a win over Mississippi State. Gators getting 10. I might have to do that. Give me Florida +10. I wouldn't be shocked if Mississippi State beats that ass and beats it good over in Starkville, but I would be less surprised if Florida pulled the upset and won outright. Heading back to the ACC, or I guess it'll be our first ACC game between two teams, which would have been a really good conference ACC Coastal Showdown with Virginia Tech taking on number 22 Duke. Virginia Tech, of course, had that catastrophic, historical upset loss to Old Dominion where they were 26.5-point favorites and ended up losing the game 49-35. On top of that, your starting quarterback Josh Jackson goes out with a broken, I believe it came out today, a broken tibia. So he's going to miss some time, probably the rest of the season, if we're being real honest. I mean, since their win over Florida State, who we clearly see is not Florida State of old, Virginia Tech hasn't really shown shit. It was the worst defense performance, most yards ever given up by a Bud Foster defense last week. It was bad. They got caught to their pants down in this one. They went on the road to Old Dominion, got beat, and a program-defining win for Old Dominion. So shouts to them, shouts to the Monarchs or Lions, whatever the fuck they are. Duke, on the other hand, has been quietly just stacking up wins against Army, Northwestern, Baylor, and last week they had a duck in North Carolina Central, if I'm not mistaken. That game was there. Duke's averaging 37 points a game. Yes, Virginia Tech's averaging a little bit more, but of course that's thrown off by the William and Mary game where they won that 62-17. Defensively, Duke is the better team, and that's partially because of last week's horrendous loss. Again, it was bad, Virginia Tech losing like that. I believe Duke's starting quarterback Daniel Jones is also out of this one, so this will be two teams with backup quarterbacks playing, or not the original starters. And I didn't get to see much of how Virginia Tech's backup quarterback did. I do know that Duke's quarterback came in during the Baylor game and won it for him. So last week was probably just more getting him into the flow of the game. David Cutcliffe's got a great thing growing at Duke. He's gradually turned that program from an ACC basement team to someone who can compete and hit a bowl game, I think, 4 of the 5 years he's been there at the school. So he's turned the team around from a team that was winning 3 or 4 games a year. And he continues to get quality players, intellectual players. Virginia Tech, they're never going to wow you on the recruiting board. Everyone just knows they used to be known for Beamer ball, but after Frank Beamer's left, special teams has taken a step back. Bud Foster, they're still killing it offensively, and I really like what Justin Fuentes has. I think for whatever reason, there's something in the water on Plattsburgh. People aren't getting calcium. I have no idea. They're breaking bones. They have injuries year after year. It's the second year in a row they've been killed by injuries early in the season. And part of that is due to depth. They just aren't building a new quality depth with Justin Fuentes as head coach. Defensively, they're always... Bud Foster can make you, can feed you shit and tell you it's whatever that fucking quote is. I don't know what it is. You know where I was going though, right? Yeah, it's nothing too crazy. Anyways, Virginia Tech getting 4.5, potentially 5 on the road at Duke. They're going to be looking to rebound from last week. They probably got their asses chewed out post game. The media's shit all over them. Virginia, we can find out now what type of motivator Justin Fuentes is, if he can really get this team up. It would be great for Miami, and me being selfish. So if Duke were to win this game, it would put Duke at 1-0 in the conference and put Virginia Tech already a game back at being 1-1. I want to pull with Duke on this one just because I can't talk myself. I can't even talk myself into it. I'm going with Duke. I'm going to go with Duke to take probably -4 here, just to... I don't know. I think they're going to be the better team. It's a night game, so it's going to be televised on ESPN2 at 7 p.m. If things get slow, don't be afraid to turn that one on. But why would you when you have such a huge, monumentous top 10 matchup in the Big Ten going on 30 minutes later on ABC? ABC, cut the check. We have number 4 Ohio State taking on number 9 Penn State. I think this will be one of those games. I think Penn State's doing a whiteout for this game because of the magnitude of it and being the primetime game. I believe this is where game day is going to be set up. Of course, it would be the biggest storyline. Of course, is going to be everyone talking about Urban Meyer's first game back. Even though I still think he was probably like sitting outside the stadium, like with a little earpiece in, telling the coach in waiting who was named this week, who's been kind of taken over for. Like, hey, this is what you're going to call here. We're going to call this play here. We're going to call this play here. You know, Urban would do some sketchy shit like that. Don't put it past his ass. He faked a heart attack to get out of Florida and then started coaching it within a year. He knows what he's doing. He's a sneaky bitch. I've never deleted text off my phone. Or, motherfucker, your daughter's in college. We know her. She went to FGCU. We know. Someone can show you how to use that phone. You're not that dumb. You built yourself in. We've seen what you've done in your career, Urban. You're not a dummy. Everyone knows this. You got caught. Admit it. Admit it. Please. Anywho, Ohio State's coming to this game as 3.5 point favorites. The line will probably move to 4, but depending on where the money comes in during Saturday morning. Ohio State, their best win of the year has been, that's a yawn. We're choking it back. The best win this year has been over TCU, who was number 15 at the time. I believe they are now unranked. Penn State, on the other hand, really hasn't played a quality opponent so far. Appalachian State, they were pushed to overtime in that game. It ended up coming out on top. And then Pittsburgh, as we mentioned earlier, and last week's against Illinois. So this will be their first true test of the season. And they're asking for, they're gonna have their hands full. Ohio State has looked damn fucking good. Dwayne Haskins I think he might be better overall statistically than Alabama's quarterback Tua Tagovailoa. What you know who he is. Tua, the quarterback for Alabama. I remember at one point last week while watching a little bit of the Ohio State game on at the bar. I think Dwayne Haskins was 10 for 11, like 200 and something yards and 3 touchdowns before halftime. So the kid's putting up video game numbers. Look at their points per game. 54.5 for Ohio State, 55.5 for Penn State. Defensively, Ohio State's played better opponents and held them to it. I think Ohio State comes in and just kicks the shit out of Penn State, I'm being honest. I mean, I always want to see Ohio State lose, and I'd love to kind of knock them down a bit. But I don't know if Penn State really has the people to do it. Trace McSorley, while he's been good, he doesn't look as good as he did last year when he had that safety valve of, what's his name? He went to the Giants, Saquon Barkley, to kind of bail him out this year. Ohio State, though, their offense has been unreal. I think they're going to go into this one, too, and probably win by double digits in this one. Don't get me wrong, I would love the upset, but give me Ohio State -3. That's only a field goal. Worst case scenario, it comes to a push. Give me the Buckeyes to win this one, potentially big. All right, 3 more games left, everybody, before we wrap this week's episode up. I can't even tell what we're at right now because I got more in this white. Oh, there we go. See, okay, where I'm pointing right now, this is where the timer is on my phone, which is right over my titty. And it's a white back, and I'm wearing a white shirt and a V-neck at that because I got home from work and just jumped right in. But if I go against my arm, I see I'm at 26:42 right now. So, anyways, I was just trying to see how far we're going to run through this. We're not going to take up your whole day. We can do this on a ride to work, or if traffic's bad, or maybe an extended poop break at work. But this one here, another top 10 matchup. Looky here. You have number 7 Stanford heading into touchdown Jesus. Number 8 Notre Dame. Both teams are 4-0 this year. 2-2 against the spread for Notre Dame, and 3-1 for Stanford. Stanford, of course. I don't know what they had. Maybe David Shaw paid some enforcers to beat on those refs, but Oregon should have won that game. I don't know how they snuck that game out. Oregon was starting to move the ball on them and really kind of beating the shit out of Stanford heading into the second half, and then it all fell apart, and Stanford pulled out the upset win, 38-31 in overtime. I was surprised, as many people were. It was an insane game. Notre Dame, you haven't really played anybody. You lost to Michigan to start the year, 24-17. Beat an okay Wake Forest team and a kind of sort of okay Vanderbilt team. They're basically mirror copies of each other. Stanford, though, has the win against USC, who's looking better and better each week, and then again, of course, against Oregon. So they're going to have some confidence coming into this one. However, everyone's been talking up Notre Dame's new offense. Like, I can't remember the kid's name, but he's the new starting quarterback. He took over for Brandon Wimbush last week. Looks like he's going to be retaining control heading into this week's game. Stanford, everyone knows about Bryce Love. You shut down him. You shut down the offense. You kind of try to make KJ Costello beat you with his arm, which he can more than definitely do. I don't know. It's hard to get a good read on these teams because Stanford's looked good against USC, mortal against Oregon, and then you have Notre Dame, who hasn't really been really tested, especially under this new quarterback. So he's going to be in for a lot, but he's going to have the home field support. Getting 6 on the road for Stanford, that might be too hard to pass up. Notre Dame's defense has played lower quality opponents, but again, just like the previous Ohio State game, Stanford's played better quality and given up less yards. So they'll be able to shut down a running quarterback, I think. And I think Stanford pulls this game off here, the outright upset. Give me Stanford +6. We can get it. It's 5.5. We're going to probably jump on it at 6 just to make it interesting and maybe an easy win. A little cash in your pocket going into Sunday. Next up, number 20, BYU. Another top 10 matchup. Are you fucking kidding me? Number 20, BYU taking on number 11, Washington. Washington's going to be a game for them at home, 8:30 kickoff on Fox. So if you don't even have TV, if you can go somewhere, you can go buy an antenna from Walmart and screw it into the back of your TV, and you can get all these primetime games and just flip up and down, 26, 36, 20, 11, all those basic ass channels that everybody has. You can get them watch these games. I definitely recommend it. These are the type of games or the type of Saturdays where there's too many options and you kind of drive yourself crazy flipping back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and placing bets and drinking whiskey. And maybe I'm just talking about my Saturday, but that's kind of the goal of this one. Maybe some Negranis. That's kind of been the new move. Anyways, BYU, of course, their signature win this year was over Wisconsin 2 weeks ago, where they won 24-21 in Madison, Wisconsin. So they're no stranger to going into hostile environments, which Washington definitely will be. Washington, of course, lost to Auburn week 1 in the it was in New Orleans. I can't forget the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, the Sugar Bowl, whatever you want to call it. Lost to them there. Oh no, that was Atlanta. I'm an idiot. I'm sorry. Forget that. Apologies. Washington again almost got beat though against Arizona State last week. It was a close scare on that one. This one here will be kind of a battle of quarterbacks, if I'm being honest. Yes, Washington does have the edge athletically and with Myles Gaskin in the backfield, but it comes down to the quarterbacks. Tanner Mangum, don't you yawn. Tanner Mangum and Jake Browning, both probably both registered or eligible for the draft this year. Possible day 2 picks. I don't know if either one of them will be drafted in the first round. I remember Tanner Mangum when he was in Jameis Winston's Elite 11. I remember watching that on ESPN, and he was one of the best quarterbacks in high school, one of the highest rated ones. Went to BYU to marry a girl at 18 and be a Mormon. And that's why I can't trust him. I don't think he has the go to win this game. Washington, on the other hand, though, they're horrible against the spread. They're not beating opponents by as much as we want to see them do, and they're giving up 17.5 points at home. So we probably get Washington minus 17. BYU, we've seen they're able to score and they're able to shut down decent offenses like they did with Wisconsin. You're getting 17. That's a crazy amount of money. Love you, Washington. Love you, Chris Peterson. You just haven't put teams away like you should. Even when you're the quote-unquote better team, you have the advantage. We're going BYU on this one. Give me BYU plus 18 if I can get it to potentially pull an upset here to really fuck up some Washington's Pac-12 title hopes. Also, BYU 3-1 against the spread, Washington 1-3. Come on, simple numbers there. And oh my God, we have another one. What was it, 6, 5? I think I'm doing 10 games this week. And these last, let's see, Ohio State, Stanford, BYU, and now Oregon, California. 4 top 10 matchups this week. Top 25. God damn. Forgot about the West Virginia game. We have 5 top 25 matchups this week. This is going to be pandemonium. This is going to be crazy. This is going to be one of the best college football Saturdays we've had in a while. And it kind of spaced out everything throughout the day, and it's jam-packed right at night. And if you're up late, you can watch on Fox Sports 1, if you're one of the people who has that channel. Number 19, Oregon take on number 24, California. Shit, we're on the last game, we yawned again. God damn it, I am so fucking sorry. I apologize. I don't know why it happened. As soon as I get in front of this mic, you can see the sun went down, and I start going down like a baby kitten. Anywho, Oregon's coming to this game as 2.5-point favorites against California. You'd think Mario Cristobal said, you know what, we're going to have a killer mentality now. We're going to put these teams away. California, surprisingly, they actually beat BYU at BYU 2 weeks ago. We just talked about 21-18. Did not know that. I might have to go back and change that pick. Losing teams like this. Oregon 0-4 against the spread this year. They haven't covered dick. But they did show a lot of improvement. Like I said, going into the second quarter last week, Mario Cristobal and staff were really like they had Stanford's number. They could move the ball on them. They could stop. Jesus, I'm yawning again. Damn it, Jordan. We got to wind this up. Got 34 minutes. 34 minutes. Got to wrap it up quick. All right. Oregon looks great offensively with Justin Herbert at quarterback. Haven't heard really anything about Cal this year. I think it's still Sonny Dykes out there leading the team. This could be a big year for them. It'd be a great win for the Pac or for the conference. They're already they haven't had a conference game yet. Oregon, of course, would this pretty much all but eliminate them, put them at 0-2, and no chance to read the Pac-12 title game. 2.5 points at home against an Oregon team that did look good this week. I love you, Cal. I want to see you do good. I may actually pull for you at some point, but unfortunately, Oh shit, they have 2 weeks to prepare for this game? Damn, Cal's had 2 weeks to prepare. They were on a bye last week. Ooh, just saw that, the dates. That might change some things up for us. Cal getting 3 at home. I think we might have to roll with that, guys, just to see what Oregon's really made of. This could, hell, we could be 8-0 coming into this game and then bam, fuck it up here on this one. But you know what? It's not about the money. It's about the moral victories and making everything exciting. Let's make it exciting. Give me the Cal Golden Bears. Give me Cal +3 at home, baby. Lock that in. Be done with it. That's it, everybody. That's it. Game over. For those of you who do these betting pools and who use my picks for your own personal financial gain, great. Please send me some cheddar. Take me to lunch. Venmo me. Do something. You do that and I'll help you out. I don't know. Fuck. I'll help you pick out some of these picks. But for those of you who do listen and do use them and want them and look forward to this podcast and tell me every week how shit I am, Tyler Henson, I'm talking to you again with a shout out. That's 2 shout outs and 5 podcasts you're getting. The recap: Colorado -9 against UCLA, Texas Tech +4, UCF -13, Kansas State +19, Florida +10, Duke -4, Ohio State -3, Stanford +6, BYU +18, and Cal +3. We read them out. You have them. If you don't, you missed anything, head over to theregularuser.com. This will be the first post and the latest post that's up there. Go through and kind of look through some of the other website. I'm working on my About Me page. That should be up. I promise by October it will be up, and you can kind of see about me and that I don't do just college football, and that's the only shit I record myself on. Like I said, it's just a little funny, fun. So anyway, bye everybody. Thank you for listening again to another episode. We'll get you out under 40 minutes. Enjoy your weekend. Place your bets. Again, go to not my bookie. Goddamn, I've been brainwashed by these other podcasts. Head over to Bovada.com. Click the link to get your free sign-on bonus and throw me a little bit of cheddar on mine as well. Win some bets. Win some bets. Place some money. There you go. Win some money. Place some bets. Let's get some shoes. See y'all next week.